This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.
On this week's Hot List, war and peacekeeping. The first Indonesian troops killed in Lebanon. Is the price too high? Common crime. An athletics coach is accused of sexual harassment. Just how wide is the problem? And foodie alert. Why 2 Indonesian restaurants made Asia's best 50 list. Hello and welcome. This is Hot Indonesia. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta, the world's biggest city. Here are my co-hosts. Sandiaga Uno is the former Minister of Tourism, former Vice Governor of Jakarta, now a businessman with many hats. And Yenny Wahid is director of the Wahid Foundation, which promotes pluralism. She is a daughter of the 4th president of Indonesia and an active community presence.
And wear many
headscarves. Yeah, that's the same thing, yeah. Hot topic number 1, war and peacekeeping. It hasn't happened often, but when it does, it's like a punch in the gut. 3 Indonesian soldiers were killed in Lebanon on March 29th as part of a United Nations peacekeeping force, and Indonesia mourned. Since first joining the Blue Helmets on global missions in 1957, nearly 40 Indonesian troops have been killed in all. These latest deaths come as the conflict in Iran is raising more concerns about possible future deployments. Now, you read former President and General Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono said this week that peacekeepers actually are now kind of in the war zone instead of the neutral zone where they're supposed to be in Lebanon and should either be moved or pulled out entirely. Yenny, keep our soldiers there?
I think if we're going to deploy any soldiers to any locations, we need to make sure that there is a framework, political framework, security framework that is credible.
And it is the UN peacekeepers. They're
Once you wear their blue helmets, there should be a mechanism in which you are protected. They should be involved in an area that is already de-escalation. There's an de-escalation there, not still in conflict. So it is very clear that if we're going to send more troops to any areas, to any conflict areas, then we have to do it in responsible way.
We have to assess where the line is. I guess the line moved with SBY said that they thought they were in a neutral zone. Now it was basically a war zone. You know, Indonesia is in the top 10 in the world as far as deploying troops on UN missions, 2,700 in all, 200 of them women, by the way. Sandy, do we have an absolute obligation to contribute personnel?
First and foremost, our thoughts and prayers with the 3 soldiers' families, and it's really, really sad because they left the country for noble missions, and I think it's been a very somber and sorrow days for Indonesia in particular, and we've been doing this for a number of years. And I guess we have played a major role, and we will continue to play a major role because that's also part of our constitutions. We will be very active. But what President SPY is saying is so true, that we're actually not doing peacekeeping. It's actually conflict area, and it is a red area. It's no longer a blue zone. So a conflict area needs to be clearly defined so that we should stay away, because we don't want to risk any other soldier's life in this particular conflict that probably is going to be prolonged. Secondly, it's a strategic dilemma for Indonesia, because definitely safety first and foremost for all our soldiers. But then again, we are being called because Indonesia is being known to deploy readily I think 750 troops in the UN peacekeeping forces
in Lebanon.
And I think the global fatalities already exceed 300 since 1978. So we need to urgently relook at the risk recalibrations and also smarter deployment. We don't want to risk further lives here. So peacekeeping must continue. I think that is being underlined, but safety definitely first and foremost. We need to have stronger protections for the soldiers. We need to push for more active diplomacy, and I think human lives are non-negotiable.
Well, when you said stronger protection for the soldiers, I mean, they are soldiers. They're supposed to help protect the peace there. Who protects the soldiers? I mean, be more careful, I guess. And
Be more careful and making sure that it's the blue zone that they're having their missions. If they go into a conflict area, well,
And that's
like everybody's saying, only in love and war that everything is fair game.
And so that's the UN's obligation to make sure that
That's right.
the designated zones are where they're supposed to be. Now, current President Prabowo Subianto has said that Indonesia may even increase its UN peacekeeping contingent to up to 20,000, as much as that. He said that since he's been president, including for hotspots, including Gaza, Ukraine. Yenny, why? Why expose more Indonesian troops?
I think we need to stick to what we do best, which is humanitarian support, which is diplomacy and reconstruction. I mean, we don't want to fight someone else's war. We need to be sure that when we are there to uphold peace. But we can only go into an area where peace is already there. And we don't go to conflicts because this is not our war. As much as we are in solidarity with many people in the world, especially the innocent victims of the war everywhere in the world, but we should not risk. Our first and foremost obligations is to ensure that Indonesians' lives are protected. So we don't send them recklessly abroad to fight someone else's war.
So if the call comes for, we're going to send a UN force in Iran, that you would say no? You would advise no?
For me, I would advise that the government doesn't do that.
Well, we have now the ceasefire. When hopefully it would turn into a long-lasting peace and to uphold, then we may deploy over there because that's already, I think, already well defined, that there is a peace that need to be maintained.
Hopefully, yeah. There have been violations already of the ceasefire, and hopefully there will be a lasting agreement. And as you mentioned earlier, Sandy, former President Yudhoyono said that UN peacekeepers are for maintaining the peace after it's won, not winning the peace, which puts you in military harm and physical harm, right? So
we must honor the sacrifice of our soldiers. And so we cannot just allow this, their sacrifice to be met with silence, with just another political jargons. We need a real concrete actions, making sure that any more of our troops being sent abroad, the security guarantee is there.
Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly with Common Crime. Are sexual harassment accusations in a sports group just the tip of the iceberg?
Tanala sendiri merupakan sebuah brand fashion aksesoris yang kita menggunakan limbah kayu pabrik furniture sebagai bahan dasar dari pembuatan produk-produk kami. Banyak sekali hal-hal yang memang kita masih belajar, disitulah dirapihin sama Bu Reni. Bikin laporan keuangan, ada akhirnya momen untuk kita bisa presentasi langsung sama Pak Sandi Uno. Secara omset kita bisa naik lebih dari 80%.
melihat bahwa masih banyak hewan peliharaan yang itu tuh masih menggunakan produk-produk manusia, dan aku menginisiasi Anima supaya bisa menghasilkan obat-obatan untuk hewan. Ikut program Indonesia itu di pertengahan tahun gitu. Waktu aku konsultasikan, mereka sangat mendukung gitu kan untuk bisa mengekspansi pasar ini ke luar Jabodetabek atau luar Jawa lah gitu kan.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Yenny, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, common crime. Female athletes in the growing sport of climbing say they faced rocky times with their coach. In January, 8 climbers belonging to the Indonesian Sport Climbing Federation, FPTI, said Hendra Bashir committed sexual and physical violence against them. Others then stepped forward as well. The coach was suspended, reported to police, and the case is ongoing. Bashir denies the allegations. Yenny, of the many hats you wear, of the many headscarves you wear, you are the chair of this particular climbing federation. Now, keeping in mind that a person is innocent until proven guilty in court, how serious were these assault charges and what impact did it have on your athletes?
Okay, so when the athletes came to me, I knew that our first duty as the federation is to protect them. So we didn't want this to become a PR issue. We didn't care if this is, it's not about reputation of the organization, but it's about protecting the victims first. So when they first came to us, then we acted decisively. We removed the coach. And then we launched our own investigation team. And while also aiding giving legal aid to the athletes, and so that they could brought this up to the police. So they lodged a police complaint, police report, and now it's going on. So what we wanted to do is to clear a very strong signal that every allegations of sexual harassment, of any harassment, should be treated seriously. And so that's what we did.
And what kind of situation were they? Was it verbal? Was it physical? Did he how bad did it get?
Well, I can only talk in a very broad landscape.
No specific things.
Yeah. So it's actually abuse of power. So the coach used his position to
get favors.
To get not only get favors basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. To pressure the athletes.
So there was touching and beyond.
Beyond, verbal and physical. But you know what really wound me up is that he said that this is for the sake of the nation. That this is one way of mentoring.
The coach
is to
said
build
this.
up the mental toughness, and this is for the sake of the red and white. So, you know.
Yeah, that didn't stick well with you, I think.
No.
And obviously the athletes felt comfortable finally to come to you.
I'm glad that they did. Yeah. Apparently this has been going on for quite some time, even before my leadership. And so they finally came up to me. And now what I'm very encouraged as well is that because we dare to bring this out into the public, other athletes from different federations, different sports also came out. So cases that had been buried for years now resurfacing again.
Another case was in the sport of kickboxing, I understand.
Kickboxing, yeah.
Okay. Now, the sports minister, Eric Toh here, supported the climbers in a news conference. Now, Sandy, as a former minister yourself, how do you go public like that and balance the alleged crime with the rights of the accused?
Well, definitely this is not an isolated case. It's actually quite systemic. And I was once leading a women basketball team, national team. And I was head of federations for swimming, Indonesian aquatics, and also in track and field. Actually, this shows that there is this coach case reflects the power imbalance between the coach and athletes in their development. So it's a structural problem. It is a strong indications of abuse. And it is not an individual misconduct. Because I think with this, there are many more will come up.
And it's a cultural issue as well.
And the cultural issues. And I remember it's not just verbal. Sometimes they use very physical, and basically they always frame this is for your mental development.
Yeah.
And this is not particular to Indonesia. Other countries have had these cases. In the U.S., they've had horrific cases of...
Many young people do not understand that the dynamic of power relations. So they don't understand that there are lines that they should not be crossed. That anyone in higher positions should not ask for favors, right? Because that gave them advantage, right? So the athletes were threatened that they're going to be fired from the team,
There
from
has
the
to
national
be
squad.
something in place for them to be able to report this or do something about it, right?
Well, now we have all these hotlines now. People can come to us, and I think that's one of the good things about what happened. It's a horrible thing that happened. One good thing is that there's a more stringent safeguarding mechanism that's in place now. There are more awareness that came out, and the Minister of Sports is coming out with more regulations to protect.
Okay, he came out strongly and
possible
quickly.
victims in
Yeah.
the
Now let's go bigger picture. Now, this goes beyond the sports fields and the sports courts. Sexual violence is a growing problem here. It's increased over the past few years, 35,000 cases in 2024. Now that's well below other countries like the U.S., for example, but it increased from the year before 3%. Okay, number of sexual violence. And Yenny, you mentioned this. Culturally and legally, Indonesia is far behind other countries in protecting victims. It goes back to the law. You have to have the laws in place.
Actually, I read it quite differently. The numbers do not increase. It has always been like that, but the numbers of reports actually increase. So there's a good sign here, which is that people are more willing to come out, and they're not willing to take it out anymore, to take it lying down, basically, They are willing to stand up for this and for their rights and demand justice. So I think that's my read on this.
And that should change the attitudes of people in Parliament who make the laws. They have to, and there are some protections in place for women and children particularly, but obviously we need more. Now, Sandy, in the workplace, you have many businesses. I've had to reprimand employees in my own staff when they just make comments, because you cannot make comments that could be considered harassment. How do we begin to stop this increase or the prevalence of physical and verbal harassment in the workplace?
First of all, it should be communicated well that it is zero tolerance for.
And you've had that in your business. You've made it clear.
Yeah, we made it clear, and we were one of the very first firm who introduced women into the boardroom, because back then, the boardroom consists of all men, and once we introduced women into the boardroom, the conversations change. And this is, I think, going back to the sports, we need to look at how we could use this very positive development for improving and giving impact to performance. Because we have good talent pipeline, but if we have unsafe environment and we have loss of trust and rising athletes drop out, we're not going to get the performance that you want. So the national talent needs to be groomed in such a way, competitively, but without any violence whatsoever. And I think there is no justifications for medals if you're really losing dignity. You need to make sure that sustainable sports excellence would require some respect and abiding to that.
The coach that we were dealing with is an Olympic level coach.
Oh yeah, they're
But for
winning gold medal in the Olympics.
I don't care. I mean, the athletes' well-being is the main priority.
The people who report these things first. Now, the rock climbing case remains active, so keep us posted, Yenny, on the outcome, and we'll report it. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead. Foodie alert. Which 2 Indonesian restaurants made Asia's top 50 list?
Aku melihat bahwa masih banyak hewan peliharaan yang itu tuh masih menggunakan produk-produk manusia, dan aku menginisiasi Anima supaya bisa menghasilkan obat-obatan untuk hewan ikut program Indonesia itu di pertengahan tahun gitu. Waktu aku konsultasikan, mereka sangat mendukung gitu kan untuk bisa mengekspansi pasar ini ke luar Jabodetabek atau luar Jawa lah gitu kan.
Tanala sendiri merupakan sebuah brand fashion aksesoris yang kita menggunakan limbah kayu pabrik furniture sebagai bahan dasar dari pembuatan produk-produk kami. Banyak sekali hal-hal yang memang kita masih belajar, disitulah dirapihin sama Bu Reni. Bikin laporan keuangan, ada akhirnya momen untuk kita bisa presentasi langsung sama Pak Sandi Uno. Secara omset kita bisa naik lebih dari 80%.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, Foodie Alert. The 14th year of Asia's 50 Best Restaurants is out. Voting done by 350 food experts, including chefs and critics. Hong Kong took the top 2 spots with Chairman at number 1. 17 cities are included with 3 for the first time, including Ubud's Locavor NXT at number 44. 2 places higher than Jakarta's August restaurant. Both Indonesian restos moving up from the year before. Now, an Indonesian also was honored as Asia's best pastry chef, Andika Dwitama. We want to say congratulations to him. He also works at August. Nice awards. Yenny, significant or just a list for the affluent and who can afford it?
Well, it's still significant, regardless whether only the affluent can afford that. But it's still significant to be put in that list. But I'm waiting for Sandy's restaurant actually to be included in that list.
Fine dining, but affordable.
Affordable,
That's
yeah.
about
Affordable
it.
is very key.
I haven't been to either. Have you? Have you
No,
been
I've
to
never
either of
been
those?
I've been to August, and Locavor is going to be having a joint venture with the restaurant chain that we're investing in.
So we'll
And
rub
I,
his
I,
fingertips
I didn't
on
know
it.
that. I didn't bring it up because he was involved in it.
But the most important thing is long 400, 500, 600 years ago, people would travel across the seas from Europe to Indonesia to find for spices.
Yeah.
And Indonesia is known to create the best spices in the world. So this is a good chance, but we should do much better. And I think the theme of Indonesia Spice Up the World, it started with 2 restaurants, then probably 4, and then hopefully we're gonna populate, and it became Indonesia is a gastronomy epicentrum of Southeast Asia.
Yeah, 2 out of 50 is not much, actually.
No.
Yeah,
But
but-
I think people say that there is a problem with standards, Sandy.
Yes.
So I think unlike, for example, Thailand, Thai cuisines or Japanese cuisines, our standards is very varied. The good, the best are the best, but like in general, not in general, but there are room for improvement for the like layman's warungs, for example,
That's what we're trying to do. When I was at the ministry, we say, you try to have sushi in New York and sushi in Laos, it's the same sushi. But if it's a gado-gado, it may be more spicy if you're in, let's say, Hong Kong compared to you're in London. So you need to standardize this. You need to certify
Who
this.
has to do that?
Well, basically, the government needs to take the lead, but private sectors needs to basically move it forward.
But restaurants like these, and congratulations to them again, their price points are very high. They're catering toward visitors mainly. Will locals ever go to those, and what is the attraction?
Locals do go, but these restaurants very hard to get reservations. They are very, very popular. In some, not mentioned in these 2 restaurants that get recognitions, you could wait until 3 to 4 months for a good restaurant here to find a seat. Some in Bali, maybe more advanced, some here. But we should really now say that we are now moving up the ladder. Our chefs, our cook, our waitresses, now, I would say people in Dubai would really now wanting to have Indonesian talent because we have the F&B expertise, We have certified them, and now our micro and small medium enterprises have gone to such high level to provide good culinary experience.
Well, what would help is if a restaurant like August would open abroad. In your own country is one thing, but then people experience the nicer side of our cuisine instead of their image of just a warung or a padang type situation, right?
There are many. There are more Indonesian restaurants abroad now. Even one in Paris, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
They're higher end more than just
Higher ends, yes. But no, actually, in countries like Saudi, for example, there are many sort of more modest
for the workers, for the workers,
for Indonesians,
overseas domestics.
Yeah. So, but I think they could get help from the government more. I think if they could get help, then
how? What would they do though? They give
in the past
money? Or?
No, in the past, the government would provide help in marketing, help in ingredients, help in training in terms of capacity building. And some of the banks are actually now directing, because we only have like 2,000 to 3,000 Indonesian restaurants abroad. We need to have maybe 50 to 60,000. We are not even close to our neighbor Thailand and Malaysia in terms of the numbers of Indonesian restaurants. So we are promoting more Indonesian restaurants abroad. And some, for instance, in New York, there's Wayan. Now they have the second one called Made. And there's another one called Nyoman coming up. So
all Balinese name.
All Balinese name, because Bali is the most recognizable names overseas for Indonesia.
There should be a global campaign, like you said, spice up the world. That's
it's a soft power, local flavors, global opportunities.
And we can help publicize it on the Indonesia channel. That is the role of a global platform.
There is one in Tokyo owned by Japanese, not even owned by Indonesian.
Yeah.
Which, for me, I think it's a vote of trust in
a compliment to our cuisine.
Exactly.
Okay, congratulations again to the winners. It's feedback time now, and we had many comments on the government's under-16 social media ban issue. Tristan here in Indonesia posted this on our YouTube page. No, I don't agree. IHRBV was even more passionate. He said, I don't man the Roblox ban, but the entire ban, F no. Fill in the out. If you feel strongly about an issue, contact us at hotindonesiachannel.world or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Yenny.
My kids thought sometimes that I'm crazy. Well, not sometimes, many times, right? Because I talk to my plants. And they would see me, going out of the house and say goodbye to my plants, and then coming in and say hello to my plants. But actually, this is not some kind of a crazy antics, because I think talking to plants has been shown by research that it brings benefits to the person itself and the plants themselves as well. So to the person, this is a very meditative, very grounding experience. And for the plants, they get more CO2 from us, which helps them with the photosynthesis process. So, it's a win-win thing. So talk to your plants.
And that's where you get your investment advice. Okay. Final words, Sandy.
Well, this year I had the pleasure and the privilege to spend end of Ramadan, the Eid al-Fitr in New York. And I met a lot of Indonesian diaspora there. And I met students, I met families. And I truly think that these diaspora are truly the soft power of Indonesia. So wherever you are watching Hot Indonesia, please think about your country and how you could contribute positively. Open up a restaurant, for instance, and creating this resurrections of Indonesia, spice up the world.
And my final words, some simple advice. When everything is finally going right, work extra hard to keep everything from going wrong again. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Yenny Wahid and Sandiaga, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Please join us again next time.
This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.